Wow, Josephine, Sean, and Grace, you really sort of chose an interesting time for this confirmation to come together, didn't you? Thank you for that. We're here outside in between rainstorms, uh, and we're kind of social distancing. We're a bit away from each other in the midst of this pandemic. But of course, it wasn't really your choice. It sort of came to an end, which I have to say I'm sad that it came to an end because I've enjoyed thoroughly spending time with you each week for so long. This difficult time we live in is the time that we inhabit, isn't it? It's the generation that we live in, as Jesus says. What shall I say about this generation? This generation is different from the one that he talked about. It's a different time. It's a different time to be alive. It's a time to be confirmed where you'll show that your desire to trust God is perhaps more than your desire to trust other things. And you could be putting your trust in a lot of different things. There are lots of places for that. And in fact, at this point in time, really, as you already know, most people hesitate to really solidly believe anything. Things are just really too unpredictable. They change too quickly to say that I believe this because tomorrow it could almost be different, right? I mean, with COVID and Black Lives Matter and showing our inherent racism and the environment and all the unknowns, it's no wonder that people are reluctant to say the words, I believe. Those words that you'll come up here and profess. I gotta ask you a question. How can you actually get up here and say, I believe in this time? Maybe that's some of the struggle. How is it possible? You live in a generation that's connected to more information than you'll ever be able to consume. You got access to more knowledge than any of the other people's generations that are here ever had access to. In fact, any generation that's ever existed in the world. You see and I believe you understand things that the rest of us had no idea about at your age. Well, when I was a kid, do you know that was coming? When I was a kid, I lived in Denmark for a chunk of my life. And a couple of kids, they had some old karate movies. Somehow they got a hold of these old VHS tapes, these karate movies, and they had one martial arts magazine. We watched those karate movies, I don't know how many times, over and over and over again. And we read through that magazine again and again, dreaming of nunchucks and throwing stars and, being kind of ninjas, until finally those magazines just fell apart in our hands. You see, there really wasn't a lot of choice around what we even got interested in or what we had access to, what information we could digest. We were almost children of a circumstance, shaped by that little tiny world that we inhabited. I remember myself rummaging through recycling bins as a kid, looking for some sort of magazine that might show me the world, show me what was out there. I didn't really choose karate, and I didn't really do it a whole bunch, but it was a part of my life for a bit. It kind of chose me. It sort of just came upon me. It was a part of my life, not by necessarily choosing, but by coming to me. Well, your choices, on the other hand, are really endless, aren't they? How do you even begin to say the words, I believe, when just around the corner, really, there's something else to believe? There's someone else maybe telling you that what you believe isn't true, and here's another thing you should see, or maybe that it's bad or ridiculous. As a kid for myself, I only really knew Christianity. We didn't do kind of interfaith pieces. I didn't know anything else. But you do. You know so much more. So why bother with this? Why not just keep your options open, right? And see where it might lead you. I'm not trying to argue out of this, don't worry. But I'm just reflecting on what it is that you're saying yes to, and how it's a struggle now, and it'll be a struggle later, and it always will be. Because you might think that your parents, well, no, you probably don't think that your parents have it together. That's probably, you don't think that. You already know how flawed they are. I don't actually have to go there with that, do I? But even the pieces of our faith are flawed. And there are things that we struggle with, and we're going to continue to struggle with. I mean, you're going to say, I believe in God the Father, and you're going to know that patriarchy and men have oppressed women intentionally for many thousands of years. You know that. And yet we're professing God the Father. There's a tension there. And we talk about being raised from the dead, and in some ways it seems more likely that zombies might come alive, right? You're more familiar with zombies than you are with resurrection of Christ. Or what about everlasting life that you profess? Most people would say it's a one-shot deal and then lights out. These are tensions. And you know what? I'm not sure they ever really go away for any of us. Saying I believe is no easy task, and I think in a lot of ways it's very dangerous. It can mean being criticized and ostracized and rejected, and it can also lead people to do things that are horrible. It can give people reasons to do things that are not good, but it can also give reasons to do amazing and beautiful things in God's name. That's what you're called to when you say, I believe. So in a few moments you will say those words, I believe. And, you know, it may be that comes from a genuine place in your heart, and you may be filled with doubts and questions, and you may even feel at times that it's fake and not even true. I want to tell you that the beauty of it is that those pieces, while are part of your struggle, they're not really ultimately the most important thing. This journey of faith goes up to the mountain tops where you'll shout out, I believe, and it's real, down to that quiet whisper where you can barely see anything that's happening about God. It's an old karate movie, this faith thing, and it's a martial arts magazine that's uncovered and read until it falls apart in your hands, and then maybe at times it fades. But God stays, always. Somehow, in some way, you are here today, aren't you? In the midst of pandemic and global protests, you've been brought into this moment. Everyone here has brought into this moment with these people that are here supporting you. And those who are at home, they're also cheering the three of you on. I know they are. And I know they're sad that they can't be here with you to celebrate. You're not alone in this, and you never will be. We are here with you, and wherever you go, there is the church, the people of God, waiting for you to support you. And most of all, you're not alone because God is with you, around you, and always will be. Always. That is the beauty of grace. And so today we celebrate that God has brought you this far in your life and in your faith. We pray that your life will be full of goodness and love, that same goodness and love that we have all experienced in God. Most of all, we thank God for you, Sean, and you, Grace, and you, Josephine. We say thank you to God for letting us walk with you together for these years, and wherever you may go and wherever you may be, letting us walk with you, three beautiful and gifted and loving and imperfect people, just like the rest of us. Thank you for the way we get to see God shining through each of you into our own lives. And may God bless your journey this day and forevermore. Amen.